Hey Bears fans, NFL Draft Week is here, and I want to ask you guys, do you want us to go live during the NFL Draft? We'd go live on day 2 for sure during the second round when the Bears pick at 39 and 48. If you want us to do that, like this video. I would love to go live and break down those picks with you guys and interact with all of you, but we need 800 likes on today's show to do that. So tell a friend, say, hey, click this video, like it, so we can go live and watch Harrison break down the Bears draft picks. If not, well, maybe we'll end up pivoting and doing something else. So like the video if you want us to go live during the NFL Draft. Happy Draft Week, Bears fans. Harrison Graham here on a Monday for the latest episode of Chicago Bears Now by Chat Sports. And on today's show, I thought we'd take a look at some Bears draft sleepers, some targets beyond round 2, round 3, or later as the Bears gear up for this year's NFL Draft. It all gets started on Thursday night. The Bears likely won't be picking on Thursday night because they do not have a first-round pick this year. But we do know this, Ryan Poles does want to build through the NFL Draft. That's how he wants to build this roster over the next several years. That's his philosophy. That's what he believes in. So we'll see what happens in this year's NFL Draft. Here are the picks that the Bears currently have. Again, no round 1 pick, 39 and 48 in the second round, 71 in the third round, 2 fifth-round picks, and then 1 sixth-round pick as of now. We'll see if the Bears trade up or trade down at some point during this year's draft. Now, what's a draft sleeper that you want the Bears to draft? And sleeper means, not Chris Olave, right? Like a guy that's going to go earliest, late second round or early third or something like that. The guys I'm focusing on today are primarily third round and later guys. So I want to hear from you guys, who's an under-the-radar prospect, a draft sleeper that you want the Bears to draft? All right, let's take a look at 10 Bears draft sleepers, 10 players I think Chicago could target in the later parts of the draft. Cole Strange, who, he's been moving up boards and maybe could even sneak into the second round. I think he's more of a third-round guy. I believe he'll start at some point in this league. The center out of Chattanooga, he's had a good pre-draft process. I think he's put himself in good position to be drafted in the third round. Maybe he falls to the fourth, but we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, small school player, but I think he fits the mold of what the Bears want to do on their offensive line. Maybe you bring him in with a third-round pick, and then he sits behind Lucas Patrick for 1 year, starts next year. Maybe Patrick slides to guard. I think you'd have some flexibility there if you are the Chicago Bears. I like him a lot. Don't be shocked if the Bears show interest at some point in the draft. All right, let's go to wide receiver. Danny Gray out of SMU. He's big. He's fast. He also is already on the Bears' radar as he took a top 30 visit to Hallis Hall just a couple of weeks ago. He fits the mold of what the Bears like. Good size and speed at the wide receiver position. I think Chicago is going to be interested in those type of players on day 3. I think Danny Gray is probably a 4th, 5th round type of guy. Good production last year at SMU. I like the yards per catch at over 16, 800 yards and 9 touchdowns on just 49 catches. So that's pretty effective plays, a lot of big plays as well. I think he's a name to keep an eye on if you are Chicago. So is Tyquan Thornton, a player we've talked about before out of Baylor. You think Gray is fast and explosive. Well, Tyquan Thornton is as well. He ran a 4.28 in the 40 at the NFL Combine. Initially, it was marked as a 4.21, and everybody freaked out. It was like he beat Chris Johnson and John Ross. The official time came in at 4.28. Oh no, he's so slow. He's absolutely electric in terms of straight line speed. Now, he can't run the full route tree, but it's not like this is just a track star that showed up at the Combine and ran well. He was productive last year for Baylor, almost 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. He's got good size at 6'2". He's about 188, 190, so a little thin, but hopefully he can get up to 195, 200, over 15 yards per catch. I think with some fine-tuning, he can be a solid, number 3, number 4 type of receiver for an NFL team with potential to move up at some point in his career. Bears want speed and explosiveness. Hey, Tyquan Thornton's very fast, so there you go on that front. I think if he's there in the 5th round at pick 148 or 150, I think that's pretty good value for the Chicago Bears. Now, we've talked about an offensive lineman and a couple of receivers already, 2 positions we've covered a lot here on Bears Now. What do you think the bigger need is entering this NFL draft? WR for wide receiver, type OL for offensive line. I still think it's O-line, but wide receiver is certainly a pretty big need. Let's go to Zach Tom here, the offensive lineman out of Wake Forest. I can't remember if we've talked about him yet or not. He's quietly moving up draft boards, and he's becoming one of my favorite draft prospects this year. I like this guy quite a bit because he's versatile. He plays with good quickness, which is what Ryan Poles likes out of his offensive lineman as well. The versatility is off the charts. All ACC conference player, both at tackle and at center in his college career. That's rare to have a guy that can play center and tackle. Now, a lot of guys can play tackle or guard or center. Tackle and center, though, that probably means he could play guard if you need him to as well. The Bears just need dudes on their offensive line, and I think Zach Tom could be one of those guys. You bring him in, and you figure out where he fits left. You think he's where you think he fits. You bring him in, you think he's a left tackle? Okay, he can compete with Larry Borom. You think he can start at guard for you right away? Cool. You think he's a center and better than Lucas Patrick? Okay, put Patrick at right guard, and Tom can start at center. You've got options with Zach Tom because he's versatile. I think at worst, he's like a number 6, number 7 lineman as a rookie, and that's valuable for a guy you're going to take in the 3rd, 4th, maybe even 5th round. I doubt he falls to round 5, but 3rd or 4th is definitely a possibility. Be sure to follow us on Rumble as we publish all of our videos over there as well. Rumble's a cool app because they have free and uncensored content, sports content creators, news, politics, tech, business, whatever your flavor is. Go check out some of their content. Plus, you can listen to our videos while opening other apps. You know how if you're on YouTube on your phone, you get a text and you click the text, the video pauses? That doesn't happen on Rumble. It'll keep playing in the background so you can listen podcast stuff. You need to text your buddies back, hop on Twitter, whatever it is. Bonus Bears videos from time to time as well. Rumble.com/Bears now. Go check us out over there. That is the link for you guys, which of course is in the comments and in the description. Okay, let's go back to another Baylor player here, JT Woods, the safety, who he's growing on me as well. I've watched a little bit of tape on this kid. I also watched him a lot at Baylor as a TCU alum. I'm not a fan of Baylor, but I watched the Big 12 a lot. He's fun. As a day 3 safety, 4th, 5th round, he's fast. He has good instincts also. He was really productive last year for Baylor. Had 57 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, 5 picks, 2 pass breakups. He was awesome against Ole Miss in the Sugar Bowl. I think he had 2 interceptions in that game. Just completely read Matt Corral's eyes early in that one before Corral got injured, picked him off on a deep ball. Like I said, the speed is there, the instincts are there. These Baylor guys tested really well at the NFL Combine, and JT Woods was certainly one of them. So, again, as a day 3 sleeper type of guy who could come in and, give you instant special teams value and maybe even compete for some reps in your secondary as a rookie, I like that quite a bit out of JT Woods. Should the Bears trade down for more draft picks? Type Y for yes, type N for no. There's a big consensus that the best value in this draft is kind of in that 3rd, 4th round range. Not that 4th round guys are better than 2nd round guys, but 2nd through 4th, it's like, it's not that big of a difference this year. So if I'm the Bears, I am going to trade down from either 39 or 48. Make one pick there, trade down if you can, of course. You can't force a trade down. It takes 2 to tango, but I would like to add more picks in that 3rd and 4th round range. Let me know what you guys think on that one. Let's go Tariq Woolen next, the UTSA cornerback. And I almost didn't include him because a lot of people know about him at this point. I don't know if he's really a sleeper. He's getting real buzz at this point. Some people think he could get drafted 2nd round. I wouldn't do that. He's still pretty raw as a player, but he ran a 4.26 in the 40 at 6'4", 205 pounds. Former receiver, moved to corner at UTSA. The athletic traits are off the charts. Can he play corner at a high level? That question remains to be seen, but believe me, teams will gamble on him in the 3rd round. Marcus Jones out of Houston, another corner that I really like. Different player. Woolen's 6'4", Jones 5'8", probably more of a nickel back, but really productive at the University of Houston this past year. 47 tackles, 5 picks, 13 pass breakups, also had a forced fumble. Something he adds as well is elite return man ability. He might be the best returner in this draft. Tom Downey, our draft expert here at Chat Sports, watches as much pre-draft film as anybody I know. He thinks he's got Devin Hester ability as a returner. How about Chicago for Marcus Jones? I mean, come on, get the next Devin Hester. That sounds pretty darn good to me, and a guy that can give you some coverage skills in the secondary. Pick a corner, 2 different type of players. Who would you rather have? The freak athlete at 6'4", Tariq Woolen, type TW, or the more polished player and elite returner, but lacks in some of those size areas, type MJ for Marcus Jones. I think I'd be interested in both, depending on where they go in the draft. We got a few more sleepers to go here. Malcolm Rodriguez is a very deep sleeper, but I watched him a lot at Oklahoma State, the linebacker, 5'11", 230, a little undersized, not the best athlete, but all the guy does is make plays. In 5 years, he had over 400 tackles, 32 tackles for loss, 7.5 sacks, 2 interceptions. He was a team captain for Oklahoma State. So, as far as culture, fitting in guy, he will do that. I think for a guy like him, can he be a quality special teamer? If he can, I think he'll find a spot in the NFL. If not, those linebacker skills are really going to have to, play well for him, because he's certainly going to get drafted later on day 3, maybe even in the 6th round for Rodriguez. Make sure you guys subscribe to us here at Bears Now. Draft coverage all week long. Guys, it's here, man. Draft week is upon us, and I am fired up. So subscribe if you want more videos. We'll also be live tomorrow for our final live show before the NFL draft, and I will unveil my final Bears mock draft. So go ahead and subscribe and join us tomorrow for that. 2 more players here. Matthew Butler, the defensive tackle out of Tennessee. I think he projects as a solid 3-tech option on day 3, 4th round, 5th round. Solid player for the Volunteers a year ago. I think the Bears would like to add a piece on the interior part of that defense. If they don't do it early, I think they could do it a little bit later with a guy like Butler. There's some good depth on the interior of the defensive line in this draft, and I think he's an example of that. All right, let's throw a running back in there. I thought I'd include one because we don't know the future of David Montgomery. You lost Tariq Cohen, obviously. No more Damian Williams, so you really only have 2 backs that you can for sure trust in David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert. We'll see what Darrington Evans ends up being. But Kyren Williams, local guy, went to Notre Dame. Productive player for the Fighting Irish the past 2 seasons. 2020 had 1,100 yards and 13 touchdowns. 2021 had over 1,000 and 14 more touchdowns. Has some pass catching ability as well, with almost 700 yards and 4 touchdowns over the past 2 years. I think he can be a solid rotation back in the NFL. Now, he didn't test that well, 4.65 in the 40. I don't value that much for a running back, though, especially if you're a rotation day 3 guy. I would take him in the 5th or 6th round. I think he's worthy of getting drafted. He found the end zone a lot. He runs strong. He can catch the football a little bit. He can be your 3rd running back or maybe compete for a roster spot. I think he's more of a deep sleeper for the Chicago Bears. All right, we asked you this question earlier. We'll ask you again after I went through 10 draft sleepers for the Bears. Who's one that you want to draft? Maybe there's a name I'm not thinking about. Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you tomorrow on our live show here on Bears Now.